and welcome back to another episode of Pizza and Property. This is your weekly slice edition. My name is Todd Sloan, and chances are, if you've been looking for a renovation property past a year and a half, 2 years, all through the boom, they were really difficult to actually get the numbers to stack up. It's like, was it a deal? Was just a game of constantly saying no. But are the tables beginning to turn? This episode, we talk with renovator Terry Reese about the changes he's seeing right now, like real time in the marketplace, as far as finding renovation deals that actually stack up. So if you've been looking to flip for some quick cash, increase your equity, or increase your rental yield, either way, this is an episode you want to listen to. And make sure if you've got a friend that's looking into renovating now as well, because so many people are getting into it, share this episode with them if you found it helpful. So let's get into the chat with Terry now. Just before we do, a very quick sponsorship message. MCG is a quantity surveying firm specializing in tax depreciation and insurance replacement costs for property owners across Australia. If you'd like to check them out and get a free estimate on your depreciation deductions, which, like, why wouldn't you? It's free. Or even better, $50 off a depreciation schedule. Go to mcgqs.com.au/pizza, or even easier, like, I'll just leave it in the show notes. So just click on the link in the show notes for MCG Quantity Surveyors. Like, in all seriousness, if you don't have a depreciation schedule and you've got a property that fits one, you will not be sorry you clicked that link. But that's enough out of me for the intro. Let's jump into the episode right now with Terry Reese. Terry Reese, how are you, man?
I'm dangerously well, Todd. How are you?
Good. It felt like you had to think about that, like you weren't quite sure at the moment.
No, I'm good, mate. I'm very well. Very well.
Oh, well, mate, it sounds like you've potentially got some exciting times ahead, which is one of the reasons I wanted to actually really pull you onto the show, because you've been working on potentially securing a reno. And the chats that you and I have been having, it's sounding like renos were a little bit of an uncertainty only a few months ago, but that might have shifted. So do you mind if we jump straight into the questions and really just, I suppose, get your general feeling of what you're seeing shift in the market and why this might be an opportunity?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Look, I'm just seeing a lot of renovation projects are just sitting on the market just that little bit longer than they would have maybe 12 to 18 months ago. The craziness back then, anything would sell. It could be on a main road, it could be something that really needed to have a bulldozer put through it, but people would still buy it what were probably crazy prices. I'm seeing a few decreases that are associated, asking price decreases on properties that have sat on the market for a little bit longer. So people are obviously having to meet the market, and it just seems like good properties still selling. The ones that have been renovated are still selling for decent prices, maybe not quite as high as they were, but still decent. But that people aren't willing to take on those renovation projects, which presents a bit of an opportunity.
So that's where you're seeing it. So for anyone that doesn't quite understand, like looking for the meat in the sandwich, so to speak, with a reno, you're basically seeing the final product, it's still dipped a little bit, but doing pretty well. But the beginning, with the renovation opportunity, not doing so well. So you might be able to go in there and secure a better deal and put a bit more meat in the sandwich, so to speak. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. I think probably, like I said, 12 to 18 months ago, those two hands you've just gestured with were probably closer together, that the finished product price versus the project where you would start from price were just too close together to see value, I think.
Okay, and speaking of seeing value then, is this something that you're seeing just in Brizzy? Because I know that you've been looking in a few states, or is this kind of wherever you're looking now?
Yeah, look, I've mainly been looking in Brisbane, just with the connections and trades I know up there, and I know the market much better up there. But having moved to Adelaide, I started having a look around down here, and there's definitely some. I think Brisbane's a little bit further along than what Adelaide was, and there's a few more opportunities there. But it's definitely starting to show up in Adelaide. And look, without having looked at other states, I wouldn't be surprised if places like Sydney and Melbourne that started their declines a little bit earlier, you might be seeing even more of this than Brisbane, for instance.
Yeah. Okay. So if people aren't looking in Brisbane or Adelaide, still have a bit more of a look in detail if they're looking at bringing on a project into their portfolio. But what's three kind of quick tips we can leave everyone with if they are going to start making these calls and really putting the effort into it?
Yeah. So look, first thing I like to do, I love playing around with the search features on realestate.com. And so one thing I sometimes do is turn it around. Often you want to see the latest listing because, it's fresh and new and it's exciting. But if you turn it around to go oldest to newest, sometimes you'll find properties on there that have been sitting on the market for a little while. And sometimes, and you probably know this as an ex-agent, Todd, the property that's been sitting on the market for a long time, it might just be sitting on there for vendors' expectations were too high at the start. People didn't want to take on whatever the particular problem with the property was, but that it's actually sat on there longer than it should have, really. So you might be the only person that's interested in it. And that's obviously going to give you a pretty strong negotiation position.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is something that that we used to see. And sometimes you'd have a property that realistically should have been sold in the first 2 weeks, but the price was like 2,000 or 5,000 or something really small away from where it needed to be. And it was a vendor that was just like, maybe it was a sense of pride or something that just made them go, nah, that we're not having it. And all of a sudden it stays on the market 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, in some cases even longer. And if you're looking at that going, oh, well, the whole thing must be about to fall down. Like Terry's saying, there's absolute legitimacy to that sometimes it's only a tiny problem, but everyone just makes it bigger than what it is. So making those calls, that's a great idea, mate. What kind of questions are you asking when you're talking to agents?
The situation, finding out what the situation is, and then seeing if you can fit that situation. It might just be the vendors want specific settlement criteria, or that it went to auction and nobody turned up, or there's a million different things that could be the reason why it's there. Just find out the whole situation and see if you can make something work. The agent probably at that point is probably looking for a sale, and probably it will want to help, maybe not help you secure the deal, but be more willing to try to work with you to secure that deal.
All right, Terry. So basically for the 3 tips, we're looking at searching from oldest to newest first to see what sort of opportunities have been hanging around that maybe haven't been looked on as opportunities. Finding out as best you can what the situation is of the vendor. And as a quick 30-second wrap up, mate, is there a third tip that people can take away today as well?
Yeah, so always with renos, it's knowing your sold price. So get on realestate.com. If you can get it onto a Core Logic, that's even better, but obviously that's a paid subscription. Get on there, make sure you know your sold prices, because then you know whether there's enough meat in the deal. So I jokingly said to a friend the other day that if you have to do your numbers, there's not enough meat in the deal. So you should be able to look at it and go, there is definitely enough. I can make this work, and then you start doing your actual numbers. Obviously do your numbers, but if it doesn't look like a deal off the bat, then it's definitely not one.
Love it. Terry Reese, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to jump on the show, mate. Really appreciate it.
All good, Todd. Anytime. Thanks.
I'm obviously pretty biased on this one because as a renovator myself, I love this strategy for so many different reasons. But one of the things that I really like about it even now is just in case like the market does actually go bad, you kind of like purchasing a bit of an insurance policy, because if you can actually get the property and that you've actually got like 20%, 30% margin built into your renovation, like for the market to crash by 20, 30%, like we're hitting pretty bad times if that happens. But if you've got that built into your margin already, like, yeah, it's not good because you lost your margin, but you're actually still coming out square. So as much as people say it's a real risky time to renovate, I've heard a few people say that. I kind of look at that and I think like, no, if anything, that you're building more of an insurance policy into your renovation if you do this correctly. Like that doesn't just mean renovation as a blanket. I've quite literally talked to thousands of people over the years that just think it is literally like making things look pretty and that's how you make money. It's not. If it's done properly, this can be a fantastic way to build your wealth. If it's not, it can be a great way to lose a lot of money. So just make sure to balance the two correctly there. But just in case you've been listening to this as well, thinking, look, I want to get my hands dirty. I want to do the reno. I want to coordinate it, but I don't want to do the buying side of things. Well, then support the people that support us here at Pizza and Property. Head on over to investorkit.com.au because now it's more important than ever to pick the right location for your property. As the wise Warren Buffett once said, or I'm sure I said a million times, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. The smart investors know now really is the time to be buying. You just need to be more precise with locations you're picking. Gone are the days of just throwing a dart at a map of Australia and like picking a winning location. So if you want a buyer's agency that is driven by data to arrive at results, head to investorkit.com.au today. Talk with Arjun Paliwal and his team about where you are. Tell them, oh, look, I'm looking at buying a reno project, but I just don't know where to start. I want something that's got some good meat in the deal. Explain everything that you're wanting and let them go through their process of helping you get from where you are now to where you want to be. So go to investorkit.com.au today and support the people that support us here at Pizza and Property. But that is enough from me today. My name is Todd Sloan. This is the Weekly Slice edition on the Pizza and Property podcast. I think I normally say that. Whatever it is, have yourself an amazing rest of the week and stay awesome.